Alright, so this is the video comparison between two routes of all castles in New Super Luigi Deluxe. On the left is the 1- secret route, and on the right is the 2- secret route. Right off the bat, you are seeing two very identical gameplays, and I will explain more about that when we get the time to, because right now, coming up, we have the first route deviation right off the bat. The first hole is very basic. 1-1 is always the same, so we do 1-1 the same way. And as you can see in the deluxe version, the load times are significantly slower, so it takes longer to get from level to level. So now we're going to do 1-2, and this is where things start to get pretty different. I got a 98 pipe entrance over here, unfortunately. You can get 99, but it barely saves anything, so if you get 98, then you can still get a very solid time in 1-2. That star that I got there only can take the star if I hit that block with a star. Alright, so I get the normal exit here for both, so we can compare this. So as you can see right here, 1-2 is still the same. Again, you are seeing two identical gameplays, and that is going, and I will be explaining that later. Alright, and the castle gets more evil looking, as you can see. The castle turns into, well, all the flags turn to battle flags. Alright, so as you can see right here, in the 1- secret route, I'm doing 1-2 next. Or I'm doing 1-2 again. And that's so I can get the secret exit for 1-2 in order to get to 1- secret. On the other hand, in the 2- secret route, I'm going straight into the fortress. And the fortress is very technical, as you can see right here. That's actually not as easy as it looks. On the other hand, right here, we're getting the secret exit in 1-2. For the secret exit, it is technically faster to do it as an added, but it barely saves much. It doesn't save a whole lot of time, and it's a lot harder. So, it's just better to do it as Luigi until you can get comfortable with it. Saves about half a second if you can do 1-2 secret exit as an added. And so now on the right side, we're just gonna go straight to the end of World 1. I grabbed the acorn here for both sides, and that is because if you are a beginner runner of all castles, skipping that first acorn is not recommended, because there's a lot of really tricky levels in this game where losing acorn is pretty easy. So you want to have as much acorns as you can. There's about 3 free chances to get an acorn in the all castles route. So it is a bit of a safer category, but it is also at the same time harder because you're going through more trickier levels. Alright, so going through World 1 is pretty straightforward. I'm actually using Nabbit for the rest of World 1, and this is actually to save menu time. For the castle, it is faster to do as Luigi just by a little bit, but we use Nabbit in the castle anyway, and that's actually so we can reduce the amount of menu time, because it takes 6 seconds to switch to a character, and then 6 seconds to switch back to the character that you were playing as. So it is not worth losing 12 seconds just to switch to Luigi and then switch to Nabbit again to the next level after the castle. Alright, so with that being said, the rest of this is pretty straightforward. The rest of World 1 is straightforward, so I can actually talk about what's going on here. So the reason you're seeing two very identical gameplays on both sides that's because I recorded both of these last night, and what I did in the editing process here is I compared every segment on both footages to see which one is the better segment, and then I just basically copied them into basically both screens, which is why it looks like I'm playing exactly the same for both screens for every level. So as you can see, this level is a little bit more awkward if you do this level as Nabbits. So the level itself is easier as Luigi. 1-4 on the left side of your screen is a pretty tricky level to do. If you don't want to do 1-4 because it is a tricky level to do fast, then you can do 1-5 on the right. It only loses 2 seconds, but it is a much easier level. Lemmy Koopa is also straightforward. Usually all the bosses are straightforward. If you're gonna mess up any boss, it would usually be the first hit. There are some exceptions for some bosses, but for the most part, if you're gonna mess something up, it would usually be the first hit, because hits 2 and 3, if you know where the bosses are going to get up, then it's very, very straightforward. So that's World 1 done on the right side. Now on the left side, we are heading into Lemmy Koopa. So it does look like that 1-secret is lacking behind by a bit. So now we're heading into World 2. And World 2 is the desert world. Again, here's another route. Again, because you're seeing two different routes, you are going to be seeing a route deviation here in this world. So, so on the left side, it does have a chance to catch up with the right side. So this level here is a lot easier as Luigi, but again, we are using Nabbits. One, to reduce the amount of menus that we have to do to switch characters, and second, well, actually, there's actually a very specific reason we do this level as Nabbits. Even though it is slower. So, when you beat a level as Nabbit, normally Toad actually tells you that, hey, some weird guy like stole all my stuff. Can you please get him back? But if you do that as Nabbit, you actually skip that altogether. The reason is because there's not multiple Nabbits. There's only like one Nabbit. So it's like Nabbit cannot catch Nabbit, basically. And so, when you switch to a different character and check the map, then Nabbit will actually spawn at World 1-1. So you can still catch him. The thing about that is, in the 100% category of this game, if you complete any level as Nabbit, the levels turn purple on the map, and purple marked levels do not count towards the exit counter in 100%. So Nabbit itself just disqualifies 100% altogether, which is great, very great, in my opinion. I say great sarcastically. So the right side here is moving on to 2-Fortress. 2-Fortress is a very technical level. As you can see, both segments weren't played well. As you can see, when I recorded both segments, none of them have absolutely perfect gameplay at all. Like I said, I took the better segment of the two, and I copied them like just for both screens. And the reason I do this is so I can make this comparison as accurate as possible. So, no, like, this comparison is not like biased towards whichever route I like best or anything like that. It's this is like I said, this is to make things as accurate as possible. So Kamek makes Boom Boom seem like he's harder, but he's really not harder at all. You just gotta time that first hit very well. There's a visual cue that I use on that Boom Boom fight. I will actually talk about it when the left side gets to Boom Boom. But now we're coming up to RNG. Again, since I took the better segment of the two and copied them together, you are going to be seeing two exact RNG patterns. Both patterns were not like the absolute best RNG, but I took the better RNG, whichever segment spent the least amount of time on the RNG segment. Okay, so on the left side there, as you can see, I use for the candles in the back. I use the candles in the background to know my visual cue on when to time my first hit. I basically let go of the jump button as soon as Luigi's feet is off the top of the second candle, and that's my visual cue as to knowing when to jump on Boom Boom for the first hit. Alright, so here's another route deviation. 2-4 has a secret exit, which also leads to World 5. So basically you want to get to World 5 without having to take the airship. You're actually seeing that I'm actually doing 2-4 as Luigi. For Nabbit, it's just barely faster as Nabbit. This level is like very hard with Luigi. That spin jump that I did to kill that Waddle Wing is actually a lot harder than it looks. So you actually have to time that spin jump right, otherwise you're just gonna run straight into that Waddle Wing. So here on this route right here, I'm doing 2-4 again. So again, this is the one secret. This is the left side's chance to catch up. So it's still a close race onto which route can get to World 5 first. Alright, so you get the secret exit here. So it's kind of debatable. So yeah, it's debatable on which route is the fastest route. On the first day that the game got released, Latchers was theorizing that the 1- secret route may be faster than the 2- secret route, due to the fact that you can change characters and that they gave Nabbit the ability to swim really fast. You know, it was interesting because you know, we pretty much we were wondering like which route really is the fastest. And, you know, we figured that it'd be, like, really close, because, you know, the 2-4 secret exit is a faster secret exit to get than the one in 1-2. So, you know, that right there would save time. Then but then, after you beat World 3, it takes a lot longer to get back to World 1. In order just to go to 1- secret to do that level. But then Nabbit swims really fast. Nabbit saves like 6 seconds over how much time Nabbit saved back in the original New Super Luigi U game. So there's that. Also with the right side route, as you can see, you have to do 5-1 as Luigi, which seems harder, but it really isn't that bad at all. Nobody wanted to test to see which route was the fastest. So, what I decided to do last night was go into a little lab session, which is what these two video footages are on both sides. This is my overall final results because I decided to do some testing to see which one is the better route. And so yeah, like I said, here's the final results. And I will not spoil which one is the fastest. It looks like, you know, the right side is ahead by a significant margin, but keep in mind the routes will start to meet up after 5-1. The reason after 5-1 is because on the left side route that you can see, it'll actually do 5-1 as Nabbit, which is a little bit easier. But like I said, 5-1 as Luigi isn't that much slower at all. It's only about half a second. So both the routes have successfully defeated Martin Cooper Jr. Even with doing 2-4 twice on the right side, the left side is still behind a little bit. So like I said, the 1-2 secret exit is a slower secret exit to get than 2-4. Because in the 2-4 secret exit is like near the beginning, well, like halfway into the level, whereas in the 1-2 secret exit it's like at the very end of the level, basically. So you do take longer getting there. Alright, so now we're heading up to World 4. I believe since we don't pick up Baby Yoshi in this game anymore, in this game, yeah, in this version we don't pick up Baby Yoshi. I believe it does not matter which world you do first out of Worlds 3 and 4. That's just what I think, because in this version they gave Nabbit and Toadette the ability to swim really fast. So you're gonna see Nabbit swim like a missile when we get to World 3. It is actually really insane on how much time both Nabbit and Toadette save for this next segment coming in, or for the next world after World 4. So World 4 and Worlds 4 and 3 are relatively the same. So there's not really a whole lot to talk about. I will say here, so after 4-1, we actually do the rest of World 4 as Nabbit and the entirety of World 3 as Nabbit. Again, we do 4-2 as Nabbit here, even though the level itself is easier as Luigi, is because the fastest end time is a 77. And with Luigi, you would have to lose a second just so you can avoid the 77. And for beginner all castles runners, if you're struggling with managing acorns, then you can force a 77 to get an acorn at the end of the level. It'll only lose about 12 to 15 seconds, but it's really it's more of a safety net if you don't feel confident with the amount of acorns you get throughout the run. 4-4 Fortress is a somewhat painful level. There's a lot of spikes, and there's a lot of falling icicles. You're normally supposed to ride on these moving platforms to get up to where you need to go. Oh, I guess it's worth mentioning that Nabbit has no friction, so it's harder to fall off platforming. Yeah, it's harder to fall off platforms as Nabbit. So, it makes some platforming easier, and some levels are actually pretty fast. Some levels are just a little bit faster due to the fact that you don't spend time, like when you're changing directions. Like Nabbit does not like have that momentum from the previous direction that you had before you start changing directions. I don't know if that's a good way to describe that, but yeah. Alright, so the final cutscene of the castle turning all evil looking. I should mention back in World 2, where both routes actually did 2-4. For the 1- secret route, it is still faster to do 2-4. Even though 2-5 is a faster level, I timed both levels. I actually timed both levels, and I found that 2-5 is 0.3 seconds faster than 2-4. Unfortunately, on the other hand, you lose map movement for going to 2-5, and the reason being is because the 2-5 on the bottom of the map, there are these little mushrooms, and Luigi jumps to the mushrooms, which loses time. Then when you're going to 2-4, you're just walking up to 2-4. And then after you beat 2-5, there's also mushrooms leading up to 2-6. So again, you're also losing time. So overall, you're losing 0.8 seconds doing 2-5 due to map movement itself. So because 2-5 saves 0.3 and you lose 0.8 for map movement, you overall have lost 0.5 seconds just for doing 2-5. So 2-4 is still the faster level to do. Unfortunately, a lot harder. Well, not a lot harder, but it's harder. It's a harder level than 2-5. So for that 1- secret route, it's 2-5 is more of a safety net if you don't feel confident with 2-4. Of course, on the right side route, you have to do 2-4 twice. Anyway, so you kind of don't have a choice but to accept the fact that you're doing 2-4. Alright, so we're entering the ghost house. The ghost house is really hard to do, fast. Keeping all your momentum is like not very easy at all. You have to do these like really tiny jumps. Sometimes you're always cutting it close, and it's very easy to fall off. But as you can see, no problem. But that's actually a lot harder than it looks. To keep all your momentum. Especially if you mess up once, then your cycle is going to be the moving cycles are off for the remainder of the level, and you have to improvise if you're not used to the cycle being off. Alright, so now we're moving on to Wendy's Castle, and Wendy's Castle is a joke as Nabbits. As Luigi, it's a little bit slower, because you have to slow down on a few parts. This very last part here, coming up, well, actually, yeah, coming up right here. Normally, you're supposed to wall jump off of the blocks right there before the Thwomp crushes them. But as Nabbits, you can do this really precise turnaround, so that way you don't have to do the wall jumps, and that actually saves a second. Unfortunately, very precise to do. So, yeah. And it's also, and even if you get it, sometimes if you don't carry enough momentum, you will not make it to the top platform. You'll just fall at the bottom, where the star coin is. So you end up not saving the amount of time it would save for doing the precise turnaround strat. Alright, so Wendy is sometimes a pain, because sometimes you may think that she's going to get up at the very bottom of the slopes that you see, but she can get up at a slope, and if you're not ready for it, you just lose time because you just get knocked back, and it's dumb. Okay, still relatively close, as you can see. I'd say we're about maybe 10-ish seconds behind for the left side. So you want to go up right there as you're backtracking, just so you don't get hit by the hooligan. So now we're entering Sparkling Waters, and again, Sparkling Waters, we do the entire world as Nabbit, and that's because you don't get Baby Yoshi this time around. On the original route, we would pick up Baby Yoshi, and that's to speed up 3-2. Because 3-2 is a 50-second level without any sort of way to speed up the level at all. So it is a 20-second time save using Baby Yoshi, but it takes like 8 seconds to get for in the original game. So you would lose. So you would save 12 seconds overall doing 3-2 with Baby Yoshi if you can do it optimally. But this time around, that's not so much of a problem because with the fast swimming that Nabbit has, it's a lot easier to control than Baby Yoshi. So you're going to see that right here. Especially with Nabbit, since Nabbit cannot get hit. Or, yeah, Nabbit cannot get hit or die. It's a lot. Then you can just swim right through all these fishes right here. You can get around the same in-game time as Toadette, but of course you have to do some dodging because there's a lot of fishes in your way, and you have to find a way to avoid them as Toadette. But Toadette still saves time in this level alone. In the Luigi-only category, or if you're playing as Luigi or Toad, you would still have to pick up Baby Yoshi, and that's so you can speed yourself up on the level, because Luigi and Toad have the regular swimming physics, whereas Toadette and Nabbit can swim really fast. They swim at the same rate as a penguin suit. So 3-Dash Fortress is the best level. As you can see right here, you're normally supposed to wait for these skewers to go back inside, but Nabbit does not care. Alright, so again, they make Boom Boom more jumpy in Worlds 3 and 4, but this is, again, Boom Boom is not hard, so you should not struggle with Boom Boom at all. And there we go. Okay, so we're halfway through World 3. And then now we have the Sunken Ghost Ship. The Sunken Ghost Ship is a little bit of a tricky level to do when learning it. It takes some practice, especially if you're not using Nabbit in other versions of this category. Because you cannot, like, go through the ghosts like this. You have to do some very specific movement, and it actually still you get the same in-game time for other characters that are not Nabbit, but you have to do things very specifically in order to not get hit by any of the ghosts that are spinning around. Especially this last part here. This last part's the hardest part without Nabbit, because it is very precise having to go through those boo rings. Alright, so this part right here is random. Sometimes you have to wait for the fishes to come out, and sometimes you don't. And so it's just a random amount of time gain or time loss if you can wait for the fish or not. Obviously, of course, since you're seeing identical gameplays, you're seeing the same exact RNG for the fishes. And you also see, and it's also random whether or not you have to wait for them or not on your way back. So if you have to wait, then it's unfortunate. But you only lose about a second. Either like a second to a second and a half. So it's not that big of a deal. Alright, 3-5. This level is just a little bit faster with the fast swimming. It is just a little bit faster than if you were to do some ridiculously crazy mashing. You can get an 81 at the start of this level, or at the end of this level. And you can also get an 81 as Luigi or Toad. But to get an 81 as Luigi or Toad, you have to mash like crazy. Alright, and now for 3- castle on the right side. The platforming is easier as Luigi, but Nabbit still saves time because of the new swimming mechanics that they gave Nabbit, and you're going to be seeing that right here. This is the only reason Nabbit saves time. Otherwise, in the original game, it didn't even matter which character you use. But now it actually matters here, because you can swim fast. But you do want to slow down a little bit, so that way you don't get hit by that torpedo. And now we're off to fighting Larry Koopa. Now, Larry Koopa is kind of random, except he's not. If you fight Larry Koopa the same way every single time, he is always the same. Otherwise, if you mess up the fight, then it may go out of hand. But since I know Larry's pattern, I know exactly where he's going to be at, and there we go. So now we come to it is the ultimate decider on which is the fastest route. So I just beat the right side has just beat Larry Koopa first, so it has a head start at getting back to World 2. So the reason we don't go straight to World 5 like this is because you have to do an airship. The first level coming into World 5 is an airship, and you want to skip that because the airship is ridiculously boring. I can switch to Luigi right away, and that's because it is faster to switch to Luigi. It is faster to switch characters than to switch characters as soon as you reach the level where you need the character. Alright, so I just walk all the way back to World 2, all the way up to 2-secret. On the other hand, with the 1- on the left side right here, I have to take the pipe. It's faster to take the pipe to get back to World 1. And so, you know, the left side is made back to 1-secret like this. And you do 1-secret as Nabbits for the fast swimming. On the other hand, right here, 2-secret is somewhat of a technical level. Not too bad though. And there we go. So we made it to World 5 first. So it's looking like the right side here is has the lead. It maintained the lead throughout the entire time. But keep in mind though, we do have to do 5-1 as Luigi on the right side, but that's not that much slower at all. It's only about, like I said, it's only about a half a second. It's not that much harder at all. Alright, so we slide down on the right side. And we have made it to World 5 on the right side route. On the other hand, right here, the left side's still watching some cutscenes. Gotta save.
Here we go.
And now we're gonna do 5-1. So the reason Luigi is about a half second slower is because the middle part of the level. So it's coming up right here. As you can see, you have to slow down right there in order to not get hit by any of those power plants. And you don't want to slow down too much, otherwise you're going to get a 77 at the end of the level. Which you don't want a 77 because that means fireworks. Alright, so it looks like right side wins. So in the original game, 2-Secret was still the faster route. In this game, it is still the faster route. We'll see by how much right here. As soon as we get to 5-1 or 5-2. Alright, so we have a 3650 on right side. And on the other hand, as you can see right here, is Nabbits, you don't have to slow down. So 78's pretty free. Ooh, it's looking like a 20-second time loss. And we still have to switch back to Luigi. And there we go. 37-17. So about a 27-second loss for doing 1-Secret.